BMW didn't just move on. They abandoned what made them dangerous. They chose safety over soul, noise regulations over soul, efficiency over soul, mass appeal over soul. And when you trade soul for silence, you become forgettable. The E46 M3 was unforgettable because it wasn't meant for everyone, because it scared people, because it demanded sacrifice. And BMW doesn't build cars like that anymore. The last real BMW wasn't perfect. It was flawed, fragile, angry, brilliant, alive. It broke, it failed, it cost people money, it cost people sleep. It taught lessons modern cars never will. It taught drivers fear. It taught engineers respect. It taught the world that cars could be machines and animals at the same time. What if I told you BMW once built a car so alive, so dangerous, it felt like it had a mind of its own? And then they let it die. They didn't just stop making it, they erased its spirit. They killed the last real BMW. Not with an announcement, not with a goodbye, not with respect. They buried it. This is the story of the BMW M3 E46. The last time BMW built a car with a soul, before the weight, before the software, before the silence, before BMW became tame. This wasn't just an M3. This was a warning from a different era, an era when engineers were allowed to be dangerous, when numbers weren't all that mattered, when emotion came before efficiency, when control meant nothing without chaos. Today, people celebrate the E46 like an icon. But when it launched, BMW didn't treat it as history. They treated it like a weapon. And weapons are never supposed to be loved. They're supposed to be feared. The E46 M3 wasn't designed by committee. It wasn't approved by lawyers. It wasn't filtered through marketing teams. It was allowed to be wrong. And that's exactly what made it perfect. BMW built this car at the very edge of failure. You could hear it in the engine note. You could feel it in the steering. You could sense it in the way the car seemed to push back at you when you drove it too casually. This car didn't want comfort. It wanted commitment, and most people weren't ready for that. But BMW didn't stop with danger. They went darker, they went deeper, they went racing. And that's where the secrets began. While the world saw a beautiful coupe, BMW was building something else in secret, something monstrous. Something illegal in spirit, even if it was technically legal on paper. The M3 GTR, born from a rulebook loophole and raised in fire. The E46 race car wasn't supposed to exist like this. BMW knew their straight six wouldn't be enough to beat Porsche in endurance racing, so they cheated. Not in the dirty way, in the clever way. They built an entirely different engine, not an upgrade, a replacement, a 4.0-liter V6 8. Lightweight, wide, angry, cold-blooded, the P60B40. It revved harder than most supercars. It screamed louder than anything in its class. It didn't belong in an M3, which is exactly why BMW put it there. To race in the American Le Mans series, BMW needed a street version of the M3 GTR homologation, just enough road cars to pretend this was legal. So, BMW built 10 street-legal monsters, 10 proof of lies, 10 ghosts. They stripped everything out. No comfort, no radio, no luxury, just harnesses, carbon panels, hunger. And then they went racing, and won again and again and again. Porsche watched BMW dominate with rage behind its eyes, and then Porsche complained. So the rules were changed, BMW was banned, and the M3 GTR was erased. Not publicly, not officially, silently. Those 10 cars were locked away. Some disappeared into museums, some faded into private collections. One became a legend. BMW never spoke about it again. Because to talk about it would be to admit the truth. They had built something too real, and real things don't survive in sanitized worlds. But the madness didn't stop with the GTR. BMW went even further. A car you were never supposed to see. A car you were never supposed to know about. The E46 M3 Touring, a wagon, a family car, but not really. BMW secretly built one prototype. One. A full M3 wagon with the S54 engine. Space for groceries, space for kids, space to outrun everything that ever laughed at wagons. They tested it in the shadows. They drove it when nobody was watching, and then they destroyed it. Because BMW decided it was too special for customers. They killed it before it ever lived, and just like that, another soul lost. But the road cars? That's where the real horror began. Under that long hood lived BMW's greatest sin, a naturally aspirated straight six called the S54. No turbochargers, no computer lies, no breathing assistance, just air, fuel, metal, and insanity. This engine did not make power, it earned it. 333 horsepower without help, 8,000 RPM without mercy, 6 individual throttle bodies opening like lungs, a carbon airbox gasping like a living chest, solid lifters hammering in rhythm like war drums. This was not an engine. This was a living organism. It didn't whisper. It screamed. The red line wasn't a suggestion. It was a threat. Every pull to 8,000 felt like you were stealing something. Something precious. Something fragile. And BMW knew it. The oil pump was over-engineered. The cooling system was race-grade. The internals were stronger than required. Not because BMW wanted safety, because they knew most owners would abuse it, and the engine wanted to be abused. The throttle wasn't progressive. It was violent. It didn't build power. It exploded into it. At low RPM, the car was calm, almost gentle. Then the needle crossed into madness, and the M3 instantly transformed from commuter to predator. Your foot wasn't pressing. It was provoking. Every shift felt like defiance. Every rev felt like a mistake you'd pay for, sooner or later. And people did. Rod-bearing failures, destroyed engines, financial ruin. You didn't own an E46 M3, you served it. And if you ignored oil changes, if you skipped warm-ups, if you drove it like a fool, it punished you. But in return, it gave you something no modern BMW ever will. Fear. Fear that felt alive. Fear that tasted like adrenaline. Fear that made every drive feel like something you weren't guaranteed to survive. Power was sent only to the rear wheels. No traction control to save you. No AWD to rescue mistakes. The E46 judged your foot, judged your hands, judged your soul. And if you were unworthy, it didn't care. It taught you humility, or it taught you pain. The transmission options made the experience even darker. The 6-speed manual, clutch heavy like guilt, shifter mechanical like a rifle bolt. This wasn't a gearbox, it was a contract. Break it, and the car would break you. Then there was SMG, BMW's experiment in letting software touch something sacred. A single-clutch automated manual that hit like a punch. Hard shifts, jerky downshifts, zero forgiveness. In the wrong hands, it felt broken. In the right hands, it felt violent. It snapped gears with no sympathy. It treated drivers like input devices. Not kings, not VIPs, just operators. The E46 M3 did not care about your comfort. It cared about your skill. And that's why it was dangerous and alive. But the real magic was hidden. The car learned you, adapted to you. The ECU watched how you drove. Soft driver, lazy throttle, aggressive driver, it sharpened. It became angrier. The longer you drove it, the more it became you. The E46 didn't forget. It absorbed. And if the previous owner was timid, the car felt dull. If the owner was insane, the car was unleashed. You didn't just buy an E46 M3. You inherited another driver's soul. And ghosts never leave quietly. But the racing world, that's where the legends were written in blood and rubber. Aom's victories, Nürburgring terror, endurance domination. The M3 GTR crushed competition with brutal efficiency. And when the rules changed, BMW walked away. Not because they lost, because winning had become illegal. Let that sink in, they didn't lose. They were banned for being too good. And BMW never recovered from that loss. Because after the E46, everything changed. This wasn't just a car, this was the soul of BMW, and it's gone